The first phone call was made in 1876, so in almost 140 years of phone calls being made and received, it's not that surprising that a couple of these have been a bit abnormal. For that reason, I went researching for the creepiest phone calls I could find, and it's fair to say I thoroughly regret that decision. Regardless of my lack of sleep, sit back, grab a lemonade stand, and join me as I count down the 10 creepiest phone calls ever received. Number 10 is I can see you. It's pretty cliche to get a call from some 15-year-old that tells you he can see you, but this call's pretty interesting. It was posted about a year ago onto Reddit, and it details a call that was received. The receiver asked who it was, and the caller asked, "Why do you want to know?" At this point, the person assumed it was a joke and didn't answer the question. After a short pause, the caller said, "I can see you." The receiver brushed this off, saying "nice try." That's when they heard a train pass their house, and through the phone, they could hear the exact same thing. Number 9 is the wrong number. About 30 years ago, a man received a call that he wasn't supposed to. He picked it up to discover two women were in the middle of a conversation. They were talking about a murder one of them had just committed and how they intended to get away with it. The man sat there in silence, shocked by what he was hearing, until one of them stopped mid-sentence and said, "Listen, do you hear someone else on the line?" The man hung up the phone and luckily wasn't contacted by them again. Number 8 is the call that never happened. A teenage boy missed a call from his mother. As a result, he received a voicemail which he was shocked by. The call featured his mother whispering his name and then rustling around for about a minute in panic. When his mother came home, she said she had no recollection of ever leaving the voicemail, even though it came from her number. Number 7 is the prank call that lasted 10 years. Bashir Kojaki is the man who started a successful restaurant in Washington. He began getting threatening phone calls in 1983, and unlike most prank calls, these didn't just stop after a day or two. In fact, Bashir received these threatening calls every single day for 9 years. The caller mimicked a little girl and didn't just call Bashir, they called anyone involved in his life, from his pregnant spouse to the restaurant's employees. Eventually, it got so bad that Bashir admitted himself into a mental institution. The FBI looked into it and found out it was coming from a number of different people who were using payphones and could not be traced. After 9 years, the phone calls finally died down. Number 6 is I don't know how to help her. A woman came into her house and noticed that she had missed a call. She checked the voicemail that was left and was surprised by what she heard. The woman on the other end knew her name and said that her friend's partner died in a car crash and she didn't know how to help her. Instead of sounding worried or concerned, she sounded smug. The woman brushed this off and deleted the message, assuming it was a prank call of some sort. 3 months later, her boyfriend at the time was in a car crash that killed the other drivers involved. The man who had passed away had a pregnant girlfriend at the time. Number 5 is the unexplainable call. A 17-year-old got a call from an unknown number. He proceeded to answer it and was surprised to find out that it was his sister, who he wasn't very close with. She explained in a very low voice that she was dealing with ongoing rape from her husband's father. She also explained that she was currently with him and he had threatened to hurt her if he didn't talk to him. So the husband's father got on the phone and essentially wanted to have phone sex with the 17-year-old. When the teenager denied him of what he wanted, the man threatened to kill his sister if he didn't comply. At that point, the phone was disconnected. The teenager immediately called his sister, who was fine and explained that she hadn't actually called at all. Whoever called him knew his name, his sister's husband's name, and various bits of information that would be hard to obtain. Luckily for him, they never called back. Number 4 is the Jake Evans 911 call. 2 years ago, 911 received a call from Jake Evans, a 17-year-old. Evans very calmly explained that he had just killed his sister and his mother. When the operator asked why, Evans merely stated that he didn't know. Evans hung up the phone and waited in his house until the police arrived and proceeded to arrest him. Evans recently came out and stated that he was inspired by Rob Zombie's film Halloween and that he had the intention to kill his entire family before deciding he could not do it. Number 3, it's me. A young man was gaming with some friends online in his house when he received a call from an unknown number. He answered it and asked who it was. The caller replied saying it was Randy. The young man informed Randy that he had the wrong number and proceeded to hang up the phone. A few hours later, he got another call. This time, the young man stated that he did not know anybody by that name, and that, again, he had the wrong number. This time, Randy got a bit more serious with his tone of voice and said, "Well then, I guess I'm gonna have to stop by and I think you'll get a pretty clear idea of who I am when I'm done with you." The young man was freaked out, but eventually brushed it off and continued gaming. This was until a few hours later when a car pulled up outside his house. At first, he thought it was his neighbor's car, until it just stayed there. Eventually, he put 2 and 2 together and realized it might have been Randy. He called his brother, who came over and informed him there was no one in the car. The young man stayed at his brother's house for a few days. When he came back to his house, the car was still there. He looked inside it and noticed there was a few blankets, but no one in it. Then he noticed his bin had the writing "It's me" on it. The young man went into his house, took a shower and came back to find out the car was gone. It was later confirmed that a murder had occurred in the house, and Randy was more than likely looking for revenge, only he was looking for the wrong person. Number 2. The prediction of JFK's assassination. On November 22nd at 10 AM, a switchboard operator received a call from a whispering woman who stated that the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, was going to die in 10 minutes. The 10 minutes passed, and of course, this did not happen. That's when the woman suddenly changed her prediction, stating that the time was now going to be 10:30. This, on the other hand, did happen. She also left cryptic messages such as "there's going to be fire in all the windows," which could hint to the positioning of the assassin. This of course could be a coincidence, as calls like these are made every single day, except for one important detail. Her first prediction was almost right. JFK was supposed to be at that exact location before 10:30 but was held up. The fact that she switched the times hinted that she knew of the president's schedule. This added to the conspiracy of JFK's murder, as his assassin, Oswald, was shot, presumably to keep him quiet. The caller was rumored to be actress Karen Kupcinet, who was found dead 6 days after the assassination and may have had advanced knowledge of the conspiracy. And number 1, the mystery of Brandon Swanson. In 2008, 19-year-old Brandon Swanson crashed into a ditch in the middle of nowhere. He called his parents and they came to help him. When they got to the area, they noticed Brandon wasn't there, so they called him again. They spoke for 47 minutes, trying to find an area they could meet. This is when Brandon said that he could see lights from a nearby city. He began walking towards it, but something happened along the way. The last thing he said on the phone was "oh shit," and then the phone disconnected. Brandon was never seen again. Around 500 volunteers searched for Brandon. The first assumption was that he fell into a nearby river, but no evidence was found to back this up. To this day, whatever happened to Brandon remains a mystery. And that's it for this top 10. If you want to subscribe for new top 10s posted every single week, you can click that red button. And if you want to check out the Walking Flimbos channel, he's on the left. If you want to check out my gaming channel, I'm on the right, and all our social networks are down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.